Good morning. Thank you all for coming out this morning for this special occasion to honor Mrs. Sara Casassa. We are honored to have our Assistant Superintendent, David Hobbs, here along with New Hampshire Commissioner of Education, Frank Edelblut, and First Lady Valerie Sedino. This morning we celebrate teacher excellence. We are thrilled that Mrs. Casassa has been chosen as the 2022 New Hampshire Teacher of the Year. Mrs. Casassa represents all of the amazingly talented and dedicated teachers here at Barnard School and across SAU 21, as well as all teachers in the state of New Hampshire. Sara encompasses all of the qualities of an outstanding teacher. She is passionate, informed, knowledgeable, innovative, and most importantly, she is dedicated to her students and their families. Sara's sense of humor and easygoing personality makes her a beloved teacher here at Barnard School. She is fair, understanding, and treats everyone with respect. Her personalized approach to teaching makes all students feel welcome, supported, and confident. We are so fortunate to have Sara here at our school. On behalf of the staff and students at Barnard School, we congratulate you, Sara. We can't think of a better ambassador for the talented teachers of New Hampshire.
Hi, I'm Jim Kine, chairman of the school board, and I have 3 kids here at Barnard School. One of the great traditions at our school is that graduation for the 8th graders. And it's at that point in time where the teachers give a quote, and it really demonstrates how well they've gotten to know the kids over their time here at the school. It's really special for me, not only because it's the end of school, we get summer vacation, but also because you really just see how well they know them. So in honor of that, I picked a quote for you, Sara. "Learning is not attained by chance. It must be sought for with ardor and attended to with diligence," by Abigail Adams. And the reason I chose that quote, in preparation for this, I went back and looked at all of the parent letters that they had sent in to the commission, and there was a video of a former student, Kylie, who she had asked you to speak on her behalf at her high school graduation. And in that speech, you talked to something that really struck a chord with me, and was how you were, as a teacher, trying to create a spark and a love of learning with the students, and how really tried to inspire curiosity, excitement, and hard work with those students. And it showed to me who you were as a person and as a teacher, and just how good of an educator you are, because you meet the students at their individual level, and then try to build them up, and do build them up, as a teacher with that. But outside the classroom is also an area that you really shine. If you can go back to pre-pandemic, there was a student of yours, Jackson, who had fallen ill and was out for 3 to 4 weeks. And that you created a virtual classroom where he was able to keep up with the schoolwork and also interact with his fellow students, even though it was virtual. Little did we know that a pandemic would hit, and that would soon serve as a template for what would happen as COVID hit. My wife wrote this. After 2 days after the school doors had closed, Ms. Casassa, our 6th through 8th grade language arts teacher, had Google Classroom set up for the entire K through 8 school, virtual meetings scheduled, and put all necessary learning tools and materials in our students' hands. By the end of the week, these almost unheard of platforms were effectively being used by all of the Barnard staff and students. Ms. Casassa didn't stop there. She educated parents on these new platforms so that we could assist our children. She happily and very informatively answered questions and troubleshot as needed. It is because of Ms. Casassa that Barnard, its students, staff, and parents were successfully able to continue to participate in an engaging and top-notch learning environment for the remainder of that year. One of the proudest things that I have of our school was that we were able to be in person last year for the entire year. Ms. Casassa worked diligently over that summer to prepare us for that, and in the event things didn't go as planned, we could have flipped to remote. Fortunately, we didn't have to do that. But she, as a school board member, really gave us the confidence that our school was prepared and worked with all of the staff to do that. Finally, Barbara Knapp was a teacher here for 22 years and a teaching principal for 18 years. And her letter to the commission has really struck a chord with me. When they hired Sara, she said, "Silently, I wondered if anyone could fulfill the duties of the English language arts position as well as I could." As we co-taught in grades 7 and 8 for 4 days to my 1, I knew we had it right. And to this day, I will admit that she has reached a much higher level of teacher effectiveness than I ever did. I join those who are so proud of her performance. I want to thank the search committee, the Department of Education, for recognizing the fact that we already knew that Sara is an excellent teacher. And it's so great from our perspective and honoring from our perspective that you share the same values that we do in our teachers. Sara, this is an outstanding opportunity for you to show what New Hampshire can offer at a national level. And I just want to thank you for all that you've done for our children. You're an excellent role model. I'm so happy that you're here at Barnes.
Good morning, parents, students, staff, Assistant Superintendent Dr. Hobbs, and the Commissioner of Education, Frank Edelman. Thank you for coming here today for our wonderful teacher, Ms. Casassa. I'm honored to be here to speak on behalf of the Barnard School student body. It is no surprise to us that Ms. Casassa was chosen as Teacher of the Year. She started teaching my class as a tech teacher, teaching us to type and make art online. Then when we reached 6th grade, she was our homeroom teacher and our ELA teacher. What makes Ms. Casassa stand out from all the other teachers in New Hampshire? Well, first of all, she makes class super fun. Every day we start with a do now, which is basically a little warm-up activity to get our writing lines going. Some days we get 5 minutes to write a short story based on a picture or a sentence. Those are the best because we get to share them with the whole class. Usually we have a book that the whole class is reading, and we talk about it and write about it. Other times we have a big writing project that we work on over a few weeks. Sometimes it's an informative poster, other times it's a persuasive letter. Whatever it is, we always have a fun time making them. Another fun thing we do is TED Talk Tuesday. On Mondays, Ms. Casassa gives us a video, and our homework is to watch the video and be ready to talk about it on Tuesday. On Tuesday, Ms. Casassa sets a timer for 5 minutes and says, "So, what did you think of the video?" It helps us learn to talk openly about our thoughts and really dig deep into controversial issues. Also, she gives us candy when we do well in class. Personally, I think that's a genius motivation tactic. It's the one thing that every kid loves, having to go wrong. But most importantly, she's always in a good mood, and she's always kind, and she's even just relaxing to be around. Even though ELA isn't my absolute favorite subject, I think that having Ms. Casassa as a teacher makes it much more enjoyable. One of the best things about Ms. Casassa is that on your birthday in 8th grade, she will bake something for you. You get to request what you want, and she'll bake it for you. Some students ask for some pretty elaborate things, but she always does it. This is just one example of how generous and caring she is. We are proud of Ms. Casassa, and we know that she is deserving of this award. She has left a lasting impression on the entire student body and the staff members at Barnard School. We are grateful that she teaches here. She has left a lasting impression on thousands of students who have gone through Barnard School. Congratulations, Ms. Casassa. We are so lucky to have you.
brag about Sara, and I'll take it any day. Right? Thank you, first of all, for the opportunity to be here to recognize Sara and her contributions to the Barnard community. Also, thanks to the DOE and Selection Committee for making all this possible. It's difficult to overstate the impact that Sara has had on the school and students in Southampton, New Hampshire. Over the last decade or more, she has transformed how Barnard School leverages technology, connects with the community, develops curriculum and pedagogy, and collaborates with schools throughout our SAU. I'll start with a personal effect that Sara's had on me. When I started here as an English teacher at Winnicott High School, Sara took me under her wing through our SAU vertical teams. In an environment that can be intimidating, I'd say, for a new teacher, Sara continually evoked confident, calm, and knowledgeable demeanor. She made it easy for me to talk and share ideas. She welcomed collaboration. She shared her knowledge of teaching and local technology. More importantly, when I made mistakes, she had that unique ability to dust me off, give me a quick pep talk, and send me back out to do the work. Sara was a mentor to me, and truth be told, she still is. I think that balance of excitement and steadiness is what translates best to Sara's teaching. She can spark students into reading, sharing adventures, thinking critically about the issues that pop up in the text. She can direct discussion, she can make connections with and between kids, and she can listen when others might want to talk. Sara celebrates literacy with a capital L. Whether it's through website design, passion projects, argumentative speeches, group work, etc., the kids in her class communicate with one another and the content in a way that looks consistently and critically outside the walls of the school. Sara is one of those leaders whose leadership is not derived from an effort to control, but out of a sincere effort to serve. She leads and participates in countless committees, including social, emotional, competency-based, vertical teaming, technology. You get the picture. She has served in a variety of statewide capacities, including the DOE Board of Credentialing, led various technology integration seminars, etc. Throughout these experiences, Sara has participated as a consistent, articulate, and sincere advocate for kids and teachers. Her leadership paid dividends at Barnard, worked its way through COVID-19, as Jim said, and the remote learning needs associated with the pandemic. On day one, March 2020, the day when we all realized where this thing was headed, Sara was one of the first people I called. We met at Winnicott with 5 or 6 curriculum and technology leaders throughout the SAU and worked the problem. We were all overwhelmed. We were all unsure of what the future held, but Sara was constructive, generating ideas around technology like Google Apps, and frankly, good teaching, like keeping online schedules. Kids were back at school synchronously online with middle school teachers within a week, and Barnard was one of the first schools back face-to-face. I think this is an acknowledgement of Sara. This award is an acknowledgement of Sara, but it's a team award too. I know this reflects a shared effort with Sara's teaching team members, Michelle, and the entire Barnard staff. I know by extension, Sara shares this award with teachers across the SAU, and I hope we feel a shared sense of pride in her success. Coming off one of the hardest professional years any of us have ever had, this recognition means a lot to the community and the profession. I want you all to think of the hours and the weeks and the years that Sara spent working with her community. Think of her work in the classroom, her countless organizations, athletic events, weekends, working late in the night. I'd like you to extend that thought to all the classrooms in Barnard, all the schools in the SAU, and all the SAUs in the state. Now for a moment, think of all those hours and weeks and years as a celebration of our classroom teachers. How many structures of support have they built for our kids? How many clubs, activities, and outlets have they enhanced through their participation? How many community members' lives have they improved? How many kids can do algebra or hit a curveball because of their efforts? How many people will those kids support when it's their turn? And that's why public education is so strong, and this award is so important. It's a team effort, and I'm proud that Sara carries our banner. I know she will use the opportunities that this membership affords to make Barnard a better, more inclusive, more supportive, and more equitable place for all students. Congrats, Sara, and have fun at Space Camp. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Valerie Sununu, but I'm kind of guessing that you might feel like there's a little bit of mysteriousness around it, so I thought I'd give you a little bit of context for what the committee is and has done. So all the way back in, I might get some of this wrong, I think it was March, we received 70 applications, which included teachers writing essays to questions. Can you believe that they did homework just like you guys do? So they had to write these really long essays to the questions. They needed to get recommendations, and they had to talk about their profession. I think there were about 70-something initially, and everyone had so much to say because it was the most unique year in our teaching profession. So there was a lot to discuss, but then for the applicants to rise up above, they had to really stand out. So you take those 70, and then we came down to 28 semifinalists, and then we came down to 6 finalists, and then 3, and then 1. So each step of the way, the committee, this dedicated committee, volunteered their time to pour over the interviews, the applications. So we really got to know Mrs. Casassa. We don't know her like you know her, but we are vibrating with pride in her as well, because we've just gotten to dig into her experience, not just during COVID, but throughout her teaching career. And what it feels like to me, teaching is something that is difficult, everybody knows, but it's also something that you can do well if you have support and you find your lane. But then, every now and then, a teacher comes along who does something that's beyond the word well. It's like the difference between listening to a band play music or going to listen to a symphony. There are so many levels of things that she had to and does have to pull together to create the magic that she does in your community. So here's the funny thing about teaching. We're about to honor her with this award, but it comes with work. So as we go forward, honoring you with this award, we're so excited, Sarah, for what you're going to do for our state. And in that place, you guys, as her community, can please rally around her and lift her up so she can come and share what her best practices are, lift up other teachers in other communities, teach other school boards the things that have worked for your, like all these relationships and partnerships that have created the space for this symphony. We hope to inspire others. And so even though it's work, it's the kind that's rewarding, and that's what the profession is all about. So congratulations, Sarah. Congratulations, Southampton, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Valerie, for even being here this morning. And thank you all for coming out this morning. I am so privileged and excited to be here on this special occasion. I have had the opportunity of watching this Teacher of the Year event kind of unfold, as you described, since March. So I'm not part of the committee, so I just get to hear bits and pieces of it. And it started when we had a record number of educators in the state of New Hampshire who even applied to become Teacher of the Year. And it is quite an accomplishment. If kids, imagine this, there's 70, and we had to narrow it all the way down to just one person. And that doesn't mean that all of those candidates were not exceptional, but we are so excited to be able to honor our Teacher of the Year today. This year we also had a little bit of a different process going on. Some of you may not know, because the woman who just spoke here is Valerie Sununu, but she is also our First Lady, the wife of Governor Sununu. And so we are so privileged that you would take your time to invest in us and in our educators. Yes, thank you. That is, part of this process. Because it was a lot of work. And I sort of felt like as I was watching it unfold, it was a little bit of a journey. There were highs and there were lows. It's like, wow, so many applications. Wow, so many essays to read. How am I going to get through all this work? And then they would do the interviews, and Christine, the deputy commissioner, would come back to the department and say, like, oh my gosh, they're all wonderful. What are we going to do? It's just going to be amazing. And you could hear it kind of move forward. And as the process kind of evolved, and we began to narrow down to who was going to be the New Hampshire Teacher of the Year, and who would represent really all of us, because that's who you become on a national stage. She represents all of New Hampshire educators and all of New Hampshire education. It was fun to listen to the little bits and pieces that were leaking through this process. And some of them stood out to me. And there's a couple that I'd like to highlight this morning. One is I kept hearing stories about how well you, as our now nominee and our Teacher of the Year, were able to connect, make connections. Connections in your school, between different teachers. I mean, as you described, you know, when we found ourselves in a pandemic, having to kind of pull people together and find ways to get people to be able to work well together and use that technology to be effective. There were connections that I heard about in terms of the community and families. You know, I think, if I understood correctly, that she might even attend soccer games for their kids that are not even her own children, but her children that she maybe teaches. But reaching out into the community, and that was just so exciting to hear, as we all really are one community. And then there was the one other aspect that is so important. It's something, this is maybe just to me, but I love it, but is your love for reading and your ability to convey that love of reading to students. I mean, through reading, it is really, you give these children a gift. I often say when we're reading, different books, that we have the opportunity to go on adventures, to travel, to experience other people's lives. And we don't even leave our school. We don't even necessarily have to leave our own homes as we're reading these books and understanding what happens in the world. So I am so proud of the school that has supported her. I'm proud of the entire team around her that has brought her to this point. But we are so proud of you and all that you have accomplished. So thank you so much for the dedication that you have given to really this school, to these children, and to this community, and to the state of New Hampshire. Thank you.
Wow. This is not sort of the kind of thing I'm comfortable with, right? So thank you very much. I want to thank Commissioner Edelbuck for coming today. Thank you, First Lady Valerie Sununu, the Teacher of the Year Selection Committee, Assistant Superintendent Mr. Hobbs, Mrs. Witt, and members of the Southampton community. So before I started teaching at Barnard, my family and I would pass by the school every October to tag our Christmas tree, just down the road at Indian Hill Farm. Driving down Main Avenue, the trees bursting with orange and yellow leaves, I admired the pretty school building set back from the road. So I knew a little bit about Barnard School when over a decade ago, I came to Southampton to interview for the part-time language arts position and met Mrs. Knapp. I remember being struck by the table in the conference room, which was made out of a door from the old school. It said a lot to me about Barnard School, about the importance of history, of roots, of connections, and of course, Yankee frugality, and that there is nothing that needs to go to waste. And then after I'd been offered the job, I remember coming to meet my first class later that spring. A group of 7 students sitting around a table, nervous and shy as I asked them to tell me about their school and to share what they liked about Barnard. What they told me won't surprise you. They liked the small class sizes, how well the teachers knew them, the sense of community, and the friends that they made. And now, 13 years later, as New Hampshire Teacher of the Year, I have the privilege of sharing Barnard School with the entire state of New Hampshire. And this is what I want them to know. First, that the town of Southampton is the biggest supporter of Barnard School. Year after year, the community, families, town officials support our schools. They come to events. They celebrate students. They support our budgets and our projects. I speak for all the teachers and children when I say how much we appreciate all that the town has done for our school. Second, that our principal, Michelle Witt, and the teachers and staff are working every day to create a community of learning, respect, and caring for all children in Southampton. The teachers at Barnard School are dedicated, innovative, caring, and committed to their students. It's such an honor to work with all of you and to represent you. And third, that we have the best students in the state of New Hampshire. That they are curious, engaged, caring, and fun. I love coming to school each day and love learning with them and from them. So thank you guys. Being recognized as New Hampshire Teacher of the Year is an honor. I am proud to share with Barnard School and the town of Southampton. So thank you very much.
Thank you all again for coming today to celebrate Sara. We're thrilled that everybody can come, and it's a well-deserved award. I'm going to ask the middle school students to leave at this time, but everyone else, just because we're following the code, everyone else, please join us afterward for some